Jessica, thank you very much for seeing me today and congratulations with the film. So you get this script from a first-time director. What was it that makes you say, right, pack my bags, heading to Perth, going to do this apocalypse movie?
The script, I loved it from, well, love would be, I was devastated by it from, from finishing it. I sort of, started reading, and I know scripts come through often anyway. So started reading it and then couldn't stop, and then was like, oh, that disappeared quite quickly, and now I'm crying. Yeah, it's just a great script. It's a page turner. So even from that original point, I thought it was going to be something pretty cool. But I also know Zach, and I've seen his work before. A lot of my friends had worked with him at uni because we went to the same university a couple of years apart. So I knew of him, and I knew what he was like, and I know what kind of films and stories he likes to tell. So was already was banging on his door, being like, please, do it.
Yeah.
It's going to be great, but I'd love to be a part of it.
What I found really interesting about the film that it is a redemptive journey for the main character James, but the journey is dictated by the four women in his life. You've got the girl he saves, the mother, the girlfriend, and then your character Zoe. So what part does Zoe play in his kind of redemptive journey?
Well, I think she's kind of his that voice that's with him the whole time, and she bookends the film as well. She's at the start, and you see their relationship and the complications, but you also see this love that's there. And I think ultimately it is a love story. It's about people connecting with one another, and at the end of our lives, what more could you want other than a real connection with other humans? So she's present through the whole film. I mean, I'm not a huge part of the film, but you feel the character throughout the whole thing, throughout his whole journey, and his desire to be back with her.
Australia has a really rich history of these kind of apocalyptic films, Mad Max all the way to now, these final hours. What do you think it is about our filmmakers, our landscape that really just beckons itself to these type of movies?
Well, I think generally, apocalyptic films and the end of the world and that kind of thing is such a part of our collective anxiety. We're so aware of the world, how fragile it is and how it could come to an end, for a number of reasons at any time. So there's stories that we want to tell because they're always relevant, and we're also fascinated with our mortality and death as human beings. It's something that everybody thinks with because everybody deals with. But I think Australia, it really does lend itself. I mean, just physically, the landscape we shot in Perth, and it could not be a more perfect place to shoot an apocalypse film. It's so sparse, and such beautiful country as well. But because Australia is so varied from one place to another. I mean, Perth looks so like a world away from the Nullarbor or Tasmania. I think you can tell such different stories in the space. There's so much opportunity for that.
The movie is set in Perth, a lot of time in the Perth suburbs. You yourself, born and raised in Perth. Is it, when watching the film, is it kind of weird looking at these apocalyptic events kind of unfold in these kind of areas that maybe you are familiar with?
Yeah, there's something kind of strangely satisfying about it. Like seeing, the ice, the deserted ice rink, and something strangely satisfying about that. But also, I'm from the hills in Perth, and Gary, who plays Rose, her parents' home, and that's all in Roleystone, which is about a 10-minute drive from where I grew up. So seeing that on film and seeing that be just sort of described as a place of peace as well in the film was quite beautiful. So familiar. But yeah, it's kind of great it being so identifiably Perth as well. Like a Perth audience will see it and know all of it and know all these places, and it's a bit of a smile on your face knowing that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys also took this film to Cannes Film Festival. What's the Cannes experience like? I always wanted to go, never been. Explain to me what a Cannes experience is like.
It is hectic. It's crazy. It's champagne in the sunshine. Day drinking never goes well. People selling, films and people in suits. And I mean, fortunately, we went with a film, and I think it's a very different experience when you go. I wasn't trying to sell a film. We were part of this official selection, so that's a nice position to be in. So we had the screenings and Q&As, and as well because it was received really well. which makes the experience so much better as well.
Yep.
Like being in a cinema where people just like they just kept applauding, and that was a pretty amazing thing to be a part of.
Yep.
But also going over with a film that I really enjoy and support, and a team of people that I adore. They're just so deserving of everything that comes their way as filmmakers and storytellers and as people. They're just great people.
You have a recurring role in Arrow as a huntress, and with that, you firmly establish yourself in that kind of fanboy comic book kind of world. And there's a lot of things that come with that. There's the pressures and because they are very hard crowd to kind of please. Is that as intense an experience as I think it might be?
Yeah, they're pretty passionate fans of all the things that I've done. Arrow has the most vocal and supportive fans, I think. Because you walk onto something that's already got a pre-existing fan base, so everybody knows the character and has expectations of the character. Fortunately, they for the most part like me as the character, so that's lucky. But yeah, it's a great thing to be able to go back to. So I've been back 3 times now over 2 years, and they leave the character in a way that she can come back again. But yeah, it's a fun job to be able to pop back to.
Yeah.
And it's a show that has such a strong social media following as well. So I get lots of people just want to say that they really like the show and like they just really, really love it, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, you're also on a long line of a bunch of great actors coming from Perth as well. What is it about Perth and its acting institutions that really bring forth all these great kind of actors who can also make a career themselves abroad as well?
Well, I think, there are the institutions there and there's the education, but I think it's also coming from somewhere that's so removed and so isolated that there's just, you've got to have such a drive to leave. And going to Sydney is already, going east is already a big deal, and then going to LA, it's like I think people throw themselves at it so much harder and have so much further to fall, maybe, that there's that drive and that work ethic as well. I think Australians generally have a really good work ethic, and something that's really respected internationally.
Yep.
In terms of actors or crew. So yeah, I think because it's so much further to go, you fight so much harder for it.
Jessica, thank you very much for speaking to me today, and congratulations with the film, and best of luck with the premiere tonight.